The Trump administration is now planning on rolling back plans to phase out the federal government's use of private for-profit prisons. Now, this is based on a recently obtained memo sent by Attorney General Jeff Sessions to the Bureau of Prisons. Now, what this memo said is that it essentially rescinded the Obama administration's August 16th order advising the Bureau to not renew any contracts with private prisons. I remember reporting on this. I remember it being a big win, because we're going to basically say, okay, the federal government is not going to do business with these private prisons that are based solely on profit, based solely on imprisoning more people for to pad these companies' bottom lines. Now, then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, American hero, had instructed officials to either not renew these private prison contracts or substantially reduce the scope of such contracts, to ultimately end in the department's use of privately operated prisons altogether. Because again, we should not have a prison industry that is based on profit. You know what that does? It prioritizes locking up more people to make more money. That is generally a bad thing. Some things should just not be privatized. Prisons is one of them. Now, in a brief memo on Thursday, Sessions said that Yates' orders changed the long-standing policy and practice and impaired the Bureau's ability to meet the future needs of the federal correction system. No, wait, so it impairs the Bureau's ability to meet the future needs. Now, let's just digest that for a second here. Future needs. They're expecting the needs of the prison system to be higher. They're essentially pointing out, they're saying right here in plain day, we expect to put more people in prison. We expect to put more people in prison, and so we're going to need these private prisons. Oh, that is a disaster. Oh, Jesus. You've got to be kidding me. This is what they're planning on doing. More prisons. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, again, I pointed out in another story how they're going to go after states that have legalized recreational marijuana. There's going to be more federal raids. There's going to be more federal enforcement against people who smoke marijuana. It's not a good sign. And then, of course, now we're going to have immigration reform as well. Not really reform, but immigration policies that are supported by Donald Trump and the private prison industry. These policies, what they're going to do is that they're going to help private prison corporations. Now, how? Well, The Intercept explains. The Trump administration's announcement that it will end so-called catch and release policies, effectively requiring longer detention times for certain undocumented immigrants arrested at the border, could bring in new business for the firms. So they're getting rid of catch and release. Instead, they're going to say, okay, we caught you. Now we're going to put you in our prisons. You also have legislation proposed by Senator Ted Cruz and Representative Steve King that would impose a mandatory 5-year minimum sentence for aliens who illegally re-enter the country. So, look, it's already a crime to enter the country, right? That's why they call them illegal aliens, right? So what they're going to do is they're changing the laws that you end up going to prison for this. Coming into the country once. You come in again, you have a 5-year mandatory minimum. Now, wait a minute here. Now, I thought we didn't want to pay for the illegal aliens. We didn't want them in this country to begin with, right? So why are we passing laws to imprison them where they're going to cost us taxpayer money? Isn't that the whole argument against immigration? Against undocumented immigrants? We're paying them. We're giving so much tax money to these illegal aliens coming into the United States. Let's pay to put them in prison for 5 years. This is insanity. And why? Why does it happen? Why? I'll show you. You got to follow the money. It always comes down to the money. Private prison corporations, they love conservatives, man. And they give them all the money so that they will pass ridiculous tough on crime laws. Why? Because they can fill those beds and make an extra buck. That's what it's all about. I've got numbers for you. According to filings, the Geo Group, which is one of the largest private prison corporations that we have, was one of the first largest publicly traded firms to make a significant campaign contribution to Donald Trump's political campaign. The firm gave $50,000 to a pro-Trump super PAC and $45,000 to the Trump campaign via a joint fundraising committee with the Republican National Committee. CoreCivic, formerly known as the Corrections Corporation of America, hey, look, they had a name change. I guess they didn't like that negative popularity, right? Well, they also donated $250,000 to Donald Trump's inauguration. This is all according to public records, public financing. We see that. We can look at where this money is going. And it's going from the private prison corporations right into Donald Trump's campaign. These are legal bribes that have been given to him. And now look what he's doing. He's helping these corporations. He's doing crony capitalism. Well, you didn't think Donald Trump was corrupt? You thought he was here to drain the swamp? No. He is the swamp. He's filling up the swamp with other swamp monsters. He is the swamp. He is the swamp. His entire administration, the people that he has chosen to be in his administration, are there only to help giant multinational corporations at the expense of regular people. You and me, taxpayers. Whether they privatize everything or end up putting more of us in the prisons, I go back to the Arizona law that the Republicans are trying to push, where it would make being in a protest where there's any sort of damage or any sort of violence a federal crime. They'll charge you with racketeering or under the racketeering laws and charge you with a federal crime. First, they get to take all your stuff. Then you get to go to prison, and probably a for-profit prison. Man, this is going to be an absolute disaster. We warned you, man. Iceberg ahead. We have hit that iceberg. We're going down. This is not good. This is not good for freedom. And again, this is ironically pushed by people who say they believe in freedom. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.